Ben Lovell, a right below the knee amputee, is the founder behind AMP Camp and AMP Camp Kids. Ben continues to inspire the entire amputee community as an advocate, a spirit guide, fitness expert, and social media influencer. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ben Lovell. Welcome, everyone. My name is Rick Bonkowski, and this is the Amped Up to 11 podcast. Hey, Ben, how are you? So good to see you, my man.
I'm good, you?
Hey, I know it is evening where you are. It's actually early afternoon for me here near Chicago, U.S. Where are you in the world right now?
So I'm in Tenerife now. I am originally from the UK, but obviously I've got my camps going on in Tenerife. So we've got a big camp coming up next week. So at the moment I'm in sunny Tenerife, which is near Africa, and it's 7:30 at night.
And I'm going to get really jealous in a moment. What are the temps like where you are right now?
Today 29 degrees.
29 degrees.
Today, yes, and at the moment it's about 24.
So it's super cold there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, freezing. As you can tell, that's why I'm just wearing a vest.
Okay, so obviously this is kind of a big moment for me. I believe I have been chasing Mr. Ben Lovell for the better part of, I want to say, 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
And some of this struggle to nail you down for an interview, admittedly, has been my fault as well. But you are a very, very busy man. You are involved in many things, amputee. And I have to say, you're one of those people that was a standout for me. And when we started developing the podcast and thinking about guests that really brought something to this community, let's call it a very, very positive vibration, you are the person that seems to be just emanating just tons of positive energy. And I believe that is something that our community needs more of.
Definitely.
We need people like Ben. We need to see these stories. We need to be inspired. And I have to say that I very much appreciate your transparency, because you are the first person to note that it's not always easy. It's not always fun. There are setbacks, and we are just part of that process. And if we maintain that forward movement, that all of those negatives certainly can be tremendously outweighed by the positives. So when I look at you as an amputee, the first thing that comes to my mind in terms of curiosity is, I would like to know, from your perspective, I would like you to describe the Ben Lovell before amputation. Who was that person? Who was Ben before he lost his right leg below the knee? How would you describe him?
Nowhere near as confident as I am now, and nowhere near as positive as I am now. I was just a normal lad. We worked on the roads in a gang of lads at tarmac and resurfaced roads. I'd say I wasn't particularly doing anything exciting with my life. It didn't have, for me now, seeing where I am now, it didn't, at that time, it didn't really have any meaning to it, if that makes a little bit of sense to you. And yeah, I'm plodding along. I think you get kind of in this rut in life where you think, to me, that it was just life. I just went to work every day, and that's what my life was about. Going to work, paying bills, not doing anything in particular. What I'd say is important things, and then I obviously, as we know, I lost my leg, and things changed from that.
So losing a limb, it sounds to me that your life was very routine, as we all fall into routines and patterns. Our life becomes sort of a function of necessity. W- I always describe it as my life is running me right now.
Yeah,
I'm not really running my own life.
yeah, well, exactly like that. It's mundane things. I suppose that's a lot of people live their lives like that, and I think while you're doing that, you don't actually see any further, or you don't see any different kind of things to that. But yeah, it's just basic, normal, mundane life.
And funny how an amputation, such a tremendous life changing event, can completely change not only where you are spiritually, mentally, but also really the trajectory of your life. Because for me personally, and how long have you been an amputee now? How many
So I'm
years?
coming up 29th of November will be 5 years.
Okay. So you and I are actually very similar in that I've been an amputee for 6 years. I'm a right below the knee as well. So we have some similarities in that regard. Obviously, I'm not as good looking as you, but I'm okay with that. I have a few, I have a few people that find me attractive, so that's good enough.
That's all you
Um,
need.
but I think the amputation, and I hear this so often from people like yourself that are very much in the public eye in terms of their amputee journey, let's call it, that there's this moment that everything changes. And I've seen the transformation of you because you're very transparent about it. You talk about it. You show pictures of yourself right after amputation. You don't look like the same person, Ben. You just don't.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not the same person. Um, thing that I wanted to do was, you see a lot about social media and about people portraying this wonderful life all the time, and for me to do what I wanted to do and what I'm doing now, that would have been fake, and it would have been wrong for me just to say this amputee life's brilliant. It's such an amazing thing, which I'm at that stage now. But I got diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. I had suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
When I lost my leg, I felt like a burden on my wife. My wife was going out. I had two children that I couldn't do things with. I understand the downside to this. I'm fully aware of what this can make people feel like. But then, and I did that for 12 to 18 months. But then something has to change inside you. Regardless of what cards we've been dealt in life, we're still alive. We're still breathing. We've still got a life to live. I've still got children that I want them to look up to me and know that I didn't give in something like this. It doesn't. Although it is a negative thing to start with, depending how you've lost your leg as well. If you've been in pain for 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and you suddenly have your limb off and you're being able to walk again, that's a new lease of life. If you're in a car accident and you lose it, and it's just that's different. That's a different mentality how it hits you, depending how you lose your leg and the reasons behind losing your leg.
Yeah.
And it hit me hard. It really did hit me hard. But I believe through all that, I've grown. I'm a different person now because of that, because of the struggles, because of how hard I found it. I think it's made me a lot stronger than what I knew I were, a lot more resilient. I'm more compassionate towards people because of what I've been through. Um, and yeah, it's I want to. For me now, I look at myself that I lost my leg to do what I'm doing now, and help people not have that start in this journey that I had.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you're so offering of your story, and you're so willing to share what you've been through, and to show the downs, not just the ups, but the downs, and say, I understand, this can be painful. I understand this can be incredibly, incredibly frustrating at times. And to recognize that shows that in many respects, you've come full circle. And now that you're as high functioning as you are, you're giving back to the community, you're doing all of these things because that energy, let's face it, it's contagious.
Yeah.
And when you can share that energy with other people, it's really remarkable what can happen. You know, the conversation that we're having today, and the people that are going to listen to this, the people that are curious about you beyond a social media post, that want to hear your feelings, they want to hear like, well, what's Ben all about? Like, where is he coming from? You know, because let's face it, very often when we do things through social media, it has a tendency to be somewhat one dimensional. It's a
Yeah.
snapshot. It's really just a snapshot. It's like saying, this is where I am in this moment, and this is what I'm thinking, and I hope that I can give someone a benefit from these words or this photo or this video clip. I'm hoping that we can do that. But we all know that as amputees, we're all so much deeper than that in our personal lives and with our families and the circle of friends that we have and the people we confide in. And to be able to get just a little glimpse of that, you know, through an interview, I
Yeah.
think that's where my curiosity comes from. I don't come from broadcasting. I don't come from TV. I don't come from anything but simply the fact that I'm an amputee. And I'm very, very curious about other amputees and their journeys,
Yeah.
because I get such a benefit from speaking to people like yourself. It helps me understand where I want to go and what I want to do, because we're all very different and we all have different interests and we're all pursuing different things. But I think the normalization of this lifestyle, because it is a lifestyle, you know,
Definitely.
and and you are creating a culture, you know, of its own, you know, with AmCamp and AmCamp Kids, that is taking everything to a whole nother level, you know, for the amputee community. And I think all of that is very important work. You know, I had someone who asked me a bizarre question the other day, and they said, and I'm going to ask you the same question. They said, when you dream, do you have your leg back?
But do you know, I've never actually dreamt of being an amputee. I've never been an amputee in any of my dreams. Um,
Why do you think that is? Because I've had a similar experience where I'll look down and I have my legs.
yeah, that's pretty much similar. I don't know. It's very strange to say you've been like this for 5 years, and that is what your life's about now.
Right.
To then suddenly in your dreams still have that leg.
It's
Um,
it's
I
it's
don't,
a it's bizarre, isn't it?
it is. It's like phantom pains. You know, they're bizarre as well, and you know we all know about them, and about when you still think your foot's there and stuff like that. It is a weird life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how, you know, and I explained it this way. It's funny how, you know, things about ourselves in terms of our spiritual side remain whole.
Yeah,
We remain complete. I'm still 100% of who I have always been, except that there is a physical aspect of
that's
me
different.
that's different. And you and I are fortunate enough to have adaptive devices to be able to get us around and do the things that we want to do. The other thing I was curious about with you is, you know, obviously you spend a tremendous amount of time in the gym. Um, how often was that a part of your life before amputation? Because I have to be honest with you, you were a different looking lad back in the day.
So the photos of me, so just previous to my amputation, I've been in and out of the gym probably for maybe 5 or 6 years previous to my losing my leg.
Okay.
Um, Now the run up to me losing my leg, it was I started with cramp in my calf, which made it very difficult for me to walk. And I think the 5 month prior to my having my leg off, I'd started losing my weight. So some of the pictures after that, I did look like that before, but
Okay.
just the fact that I wasn't as mobile, and due to the blood clot, um, that had a big major part to play of not being able to get to the gym, and I thought I'd torn a muscle, or I just put it down to a work-related stress, not a blood clot. So I wasn't sure at that time that I had the blood clot. I knew that I couldn't walk that far, and when I did walk for more than 10 minutes, I was in pain. Um, so again, once I stopped going to my gym, that started playing with my mental health again, and I think that was just, yeah. Looking back on them photos now, it's weird looking back on them, you know. About I did look completely different then, but I don't think I was truly happy either. Even with two legs, I don't think I've always found, and looking back now, that I always forced myself to try and fit in. I was trying to fit in with the wrong group of people.
Oh,
I've always had this little bit of anxiety, and probably a little bit of depression from probably being about 16, 17. My dad left home when I was 11. And I think that played a massive part in my life growing up. So yeah, it just obviously not being able to get to the gym because my leg was hurting and I couldn't walk and stuff like that. You don't realise at the time, but when I stopped going, then my mental health took a big dive, and then finding out I had this blood clot, which I had no health problems. I didn't have diabetes. Unfortunately, I just, like I say, I got cramp in my calf. I went to the hospital. They put a Doppler on the back of the top of my foot. Told me there were no pulses, which meant there was a blockage somewhere.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I've seen the picture of your feet when you have like your left foot is like healthy looking,
yep,
and then your right foot is like white.
just grey. Yeah, there
Yeah,
was
it's
just
like
no blood
gray. It's like there's no
circulating.
color at all, like in your foot. It's kind of sobering to look at.
Yeah. It's like I say, I'd never even kind of heard of blood clots. You know, I think until same as being an amputee, I'd never really seen an amputee until I became one. Then all of a sudden, I see them everywhere.
Yeah,
But the thing,
right.
yeah, the thing with like the blood clots and stuff like that, I obviously it's not something until it affects you. It weren't something that I was going to read about or like look up about. And I was 39 when I got this, which is I got told in the hospital it's quite young. You know, you're looking, blood clots are normally something that affects people in the 60s and stuff like that.
Sure.
So yeah, I'd gone in. I got told that, you know, you can do a bypass operation. They could do this bypass operation, and that got planned for the 19th of September 2017. Went into the hospital. They sit you down, tell you worst case scenario. You know, there's a chance that you could have your leg amputated, but obviously that's worst case scenario. It's a basic operation, and I had that operation done, and then they come round 4 days later and just said it's not been a success. So you need to start thinking about having your leg amputated.
Now I know after you had your amputation, and you can correct me if I get any of this wrong. I believe the story was that you were probably going to lose more of your leg because you were still struggling with some circulatory stuff. And from what I remember reading was you got your ass in the gym and you literally started working specific muscles to increase the blood flow in your residual limb.
Yeah.
Almost,
So
yeah, like
go on.
almost
So
like saving yourself from further amputation.
yeah. So what it were, I had my leg amputated 29th of November 2017. On the 19th of September 2018, I became clotted to both legs again. So I had to have another bypass operation. The one to my good leg cleared up with like a blood thinner. The one to my stump, I had to have another bypass in my groin. And then 12 months after that, I got told my femoral artery, your femoral artery kind of runs down your body and then splits to your legs. The one going into my stump is completely furred over. So there's my main artery into my stump where my blood should be running in is blocked.
Mm.
So this kind of said to me, look, you have got little blood vessels that are obviously getting blood in there, but not enough. This will not be enough to kind of keep your stump alive for years, kind of thing. They kind of give me 6 months and told me I might have to go above the knee. But yeah, and then that's what happened. Obviously I've been in the gym previous, and I don't mind going to the gym. So my thought in my head was, if I go to the gym, you push blood around your body, which in turn is going to help push blood into my stump. So I think it was 2019. I got told that my stump had last 6 months, and I'm still going now. I still climb mountains and do what I need to do to just, try and make that last as long as possible.
Sure. So, what advice would you give? Just because you spend so much time in the gym, I consider you to be somewhat of a fitness expert. What would you give in terms of advice to a fellow amputee in terms of, okay, what should I be working on? What should I be working on if I want to do some of the things that I've seen you do in terms of your very, very much in the outdoors, you're hiking, you're climbing, you're going on these, very, very long, rigorous, excursions and doing these things that, to be quite honest, most amputees, and I stress the word most, are like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do what this guy is doing. So what would you say to someone, okay, let's get you in the gym and this is where I would start you?
So, I need to stress this, that by no means am I a professional or anything like that. I just like working out. Um, I think to start with, if I started just before I got my leg, a couple of months. I think it was about 7 weeks after I had my amputation. I started visiting the gym. The first thing I did was get a PT that knew what he was doing. And we worked a lot with resistance bands rather than jumping on machines and lifting heavy weights. I wanted to build the muscles up in my leg that I've not used for a start. Because sitting about and everything, obviously, you need a good core. We need a good core, a strong core to walk as an amputee. Um, I don't know. It's a hard one for me to try and tell people what to do when they go to the gym, because, like I say, I'm not no expert. Um, I kind of just I have this bit of a knowledge before, working on your hamstrings, working on your quads, working on your hips and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that you can actually do without having to go to a gym. As an amputee, you don't necessarily have to go to a gym, and I know a lot of amputees probably won't find it easy going to a gym, especially at the start of this journey when they're still getting used to how they look and they're not fully confident in going somewhere public like that and not knowing how to use machines. I've actually got a couple of pages. I've got a page on my Facebook where, when I started with my PT, we videoed everything, and I've uploaded them. So if people ever message me, I'll just I tell them to go watch the videos, and it's all exercises that you can do in your front room. And then work your way up. Get yourself confident before going into a gym, I'd say.
I think
And
I
if you
think
want,
you're right. I think breaking it down in a simple way is really important, because I think we look at that journey as like this very, very high plateau to get to. And when you start small, if you were to say to someone, hey, this all begins in your family room, this all begins in your home. Because I've seen videos of you in like a home setting and you're working out.
yeah,
And we don't need necessarily high-tech equipment or professional trainers to get mobile.
no,
I remember being post-op. I was in a rehab center, and I would just do laps in my wheelchair, around the floor that I was on. And to me, there's something very spiritual about being active. It becomes this fuel, for your mind, for your heart. You just feel better about yourself when you're moving, when you're
so
constantly.
if you work out and you do any form of exercise, you don't have to go to a gym. You don't have to. A lot of people associate. Yeah, I can put stuff up about climbing mountains, and people are like, "Yeah, but I can't do that now." My challenge is climbing a mountain. That challenges me. I'm not saying everyone has to challenge themselves by climbing a mountain. You might be in a wheelchair at home. Your challenge might be standing up out of that wheelchair for 5 minutes a day. But the whole point of it is to get yourself moving. The more exercise you do, you release endorphins, which automatically makes you feel better. And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't. You don't have to go to a gym for an hour and a half. You don't have to climb mountains. It can be 10 minutes in your living room. There's other stuff as well that I do that incorporate into that. There's meditation and stuff, and I have 5-10 minutes to myself and clear my head and focus on my breathing rather than all the negative thoughts that are going on in my head.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just think anybody that exercises, it automatically makes you feel better. And I understand that it's hard. And like I say, I can do what I do. But when I first started this journey, I always used to look at other amputees that were going off and doing these kind of stuff that I'm doing now, and kind of saying to myself, "Oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that." Well, it will come to you, but you've got to start somewhere. And you've got, like I said to you, it might be standing up off couch 15 times and then sitting down for 10 minutes and then
Yeah.
standing up and sitting down again for another 50. It might sound slow, it might sound like it's not going to do it, but it will. And it's your mindset. It's your mindset as well. You've got to make yourself. No one's going to come into your house and exercise for you.
That's for sure.
You know, it's up to. And I know it's hard when you don't feel like it. I know it's hard when you're feeling down. But the one thing that got me out of that rut that I was in was when I started exercising. That changed my mindset. That made me feel better about myself.
The one thing that I noticed about you, because obviously I follow you and I appreciate so much of what I see as just very, very wise sort of words, things that I would even go as far to say, you know, a lot of what you put out, Ben, as content, I mean, it's really your legacy, like as a human being. It's what you'll leave behind. It's the words that will, you know, sort of echo in the community that we're a part of. Before amputation, you know, living your life in, let's say, more of a, you know, routine kind of place. Were you always like a really spiritual guy? Was there always that side of you?
No.
No. Okay.
No. So, like I said, I worked in with a gang of lads, a group of lads. You know, we finished work on a Friday. We went to the pub, and that was kind of my life. And half of the stuff that I talk about now is because I talk like that because this situation that happened to me changed my life. And I think with the life changing, if something like that happens to you, where it's a life changing event, it should change your life. There's be absolutely no point in me losing a leg and going through what I was doing just to go back and do everything and talk the same and act the same. You know, it's changed me. Like, I mean, completely changed me in every aspect of my life.
Could you have
But no,
ever,
definitely,
could you
I
have
had
ever
no,
imagined the adventure that you were going to go on?
no,
Because
no, no,
you were in this, in the way you describe it. I'm not saying you weren't happy. You
no,
know, life becomes sort of status quo and you're just sort of plugging along,
I don't know.
right? We're just living our life and it's just
Yeah,
what we're doing. I've been there myself. And could you have ever imagined that almost in an instant that your life was going to completely change and you were going to do amazing things with your life? Like you were going to go on this really this movie-like adventure of tremendous loss evolving into tremendous triumph. Like I took something that was very hard, you know, completely changed me as a person. You talk about PTSD and suicidal thoughts and all of these things. And I have continued to elevate myself and use my struggle, this life change, into a positive energy force, not only to help myself, but I actually share it with other people. I mean,
yeah.
that to me is, it's extraordinary. So of course I have to say, do you ever kind of pinch yourself and go, how the fuck did I end up in this? Like
Yeah, so like,
how did
like
I get here?
like I've said to you at the start, when I was feeling down, I was feeling like that. Obviously, I didn't know that that was going to happen, but I think I'd say when I started talking, I went into hospitals. Like, I started visiting amputees. I went to the houses and I went to visit them when I knew they were struggling. You know, I went all over the UK. If there was someone struggling that reached out to me, I made sure that I messaged them back. And then when I started getting these little messages back saying thank you, you felt me, it was something that I'd never experienced in my life. You know, I'd not really helped anyone in my life. I was quite selfish, and I started getting these messages of support, and that automatically changed. And then when I started doing the AMP camp, I had a vision. I had a vision 2 years ago about these AMP camps, and I've been told of many people that have tried changing my mind during that course of 2 years. You shouldn't be doing it. This, I've stuck to what I believe in, and no one else understands what I'm seeing in my head. or where I want these to go. And I've only just started with them. You know, I've got big plans for the future.
I
But
can
no,
tell.
you know, I do pinch myself, but I'm also I'm humbled as well. I'm humbled by the fact that I can with my camps. I've seen amputees come on them, and I've seen them go away completely different people. Now, that's what drives me. That's, you know, when I'm getting messages of people and they've gone home to the friends and they've gone home to the partners or the children, and they've gone home completely different to how they came on these camps, more confident. That's you know, I couldn't think of anything better to do with my life at the moment, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing work. Who is someone that we should know that inspires Ben Lovell? Who is the person that we should be tapping into that Ben Lovell looks to for inspiration? Who is that person?
Basically, my wife and my children at the moment.
That's a good answer.
Obviously, when I started, I did see other amputees doing stuff. You know, I've had Richard Whitehead out to my camps. He's a 2 times gold Paralympic champion. You know,
Yep.
I've got him that I can ring up and talk to anytime I want. I've got Ali Jawad's about to come out. He's a gold medalist, powerlifter, Paralympian, and stuff like that. But there's other people as well. You know, I've had a lady on my camp this week who she lost her leg in March below the knee. Now March to me is very soon. She's come out and she's just getting on with everything, and she inspires me. Some of these camps that I've had children coming into these camps that have had meningitis and gone to bed and woke up in a coma and lost both the legs and both the arms. I get inspired by a lot of people. They don't necessarily have to be climbing mountains and doing stuff. You
So
know,
do
these.
you feel like if you're willing to engage the community, if you're one of those people that is willing to reach out, okay, and make connections with other amputees, other people that are struggling, don't you feel like that can be the catalyst for just an enormous amount of inspiration for yourself? Because for me, talking and meeting and engaging people like yourself has become something that provides myself with a tremendous amount of inspiration. So if I'm following you, Ben, and I'm looking at, you know, who you are online, let's call it. We're going to call it your identity, your digital identity, who you are as a person on the internet, on social media. And I have this really invested interest in what you're saying and what you're doing and how you're living your best life. And then suddenly I'm faced with the opportunity. I might be able to get to talk to him. I might actually be able to talk to this guy. Hence me chasing you for 3 or 4 months, you know, trying to get you to, you know, get in front of a camera for me. Um, to me, that is, it's just this amazing sort of like experience where I think, okay, this for me is like a dream that I can engage different amputees that inspire me, and I can sort of grab just a little piece of them and plug it in right here and
Yeah.
say, this is something that I can take with me. And I would think from what you're describing about, you know, your camps, other amps, children, you're just enjoying this synergy of, you know, positive energy with all these people that you come in contact with. And I would think that's really fueled a lot of your dreams, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah, 100%, 100%. I'd say that any amputee that goes through this and struggles and everything else, you're all in a position to then go and help someone else. The thing is, there's always going to be new amputees every single day, and they're all going to want help at some point. So my way of thinking, if I could take my time out to help one person or however many people that I can help, they will then go on to do the same to somebody else, to another amputee, and it'll just be a continuous circle. Um, but there is something special about being able to help someone and kind of have them sort of turn around back to you and thank you for it. You know, it doesn't cost you anything to be nice. It doesn't cost you anything. Like I've said to you, my message box has been open for 4 years, and if someone messages me, I've been there to message people and they don't message you back and stuff like this when I was trying to get stuff off the ground, and it's annoying. And I do honestly try to do my best if someone messages me, especially if it's someone that's got a problem, and to try and just be there. It might be a minute. I might send them a voice note for 1 minute. If I'm busy, they'll get a voice note. If I'm not and I can text, I'll text. But just to reach out and be able to, if someone's reached out for you to talk to you, and you can kind of give that 5 minutes of your time up to them, and you never know what it's going to do for someone, do you really?
No, you're right, because I've had similar interactions with people, and I can tell that if I just spend, 5 minutes engaging them, answering a question, maybe pointing them in the right direction, I get a huge charge out of that personally, knowing that I'm sharing that energy and making their day a little bit better. And
Yeah.
you're right. You're so right. It doesn't cost anything. It really, it's so easy to be kind, and it's so easy to be thoughtful. And it's so exhausting to be the opposite.
Yes, of course it is. You know that's the thing about it. We are like, negativity breeds negativity, and unfortunately, there is quite a few people like that. There's quite a few amputees that can be very negative
You
about what's happening.
think?
I mean,
I never,
I've been,
I
I've
have
been,
no, Ben, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Negative amputees?
I've been kicked. So I've actually been kicked out of a few amputee groups being too positive. Now,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
crazy to me, because if you're a new amputee and you go into some of these amputee groups and all you ever see is people whinging and moaning about the life and how hard it is, then the groups are detrimental to amputees in my eyes. I'd rather, yes, fair enough, talk about the bad times, but I think there needs to be balance as well. You need other people in there saying, well, it's not all doom and gloom. You can go on to live a better life than what you actually had in the first place. Not even get back to the life you had, actually get back to a better life than you ever imagined.
Absolutely. And I do agree with you in terms of the negative cycles that I see as well. And it to be quite honest, it's frustrating.
It's
And
crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy, and it's like I can. This is what I mean. I can talk to her. The thing is, if you're not willing to be helped, or you're not willing to change, then it's hard. Because when I message people or I'm talking to people, and they'll say something, and I'll say something back like, "Listen, there's only you that can change that." And straight away, it's like, "Yeah, but you don't understand. It's hard for it's hard for everybody." But as long as you keep talking like that and not understanding that you're the one that's going to change your life, nobody else,
right.
then you're just going to be stuck in this hole where you think everything's negative. If you keep thinking everything's negative, trust me, everything's going to be negative.
Yeah, and I don't think you or myself is suggesting in any way that this isn't hard.
No. I know how hard it is.
We are not claiming that this is all, unicorns and rainbows, and it's just wonderful to lose a limb and have to struggle just to get out of bed in the morning.
No.
I think you and I both are very much in the thinking of, okay, this sucks, right?
100%.
This sucks. There's nothing fun about it. However, your perspective and the way you look at things and the way that you sort of frame it is completely up to you. It's within your control, right?
Yeah, you can change. You can change. Like you said there, we all know that. I did a post today. I put a post up today about putting my leg on, and that. How did I put it? Like, amputees make wearing a prosthetic leg look easier to the outside people. It's
Sure.
like, so I just put this on and then I can walk. No, we have aches, we have pains, we have sweat in it. We have to take, it comes at a cost. But that's the life that you've got now. That is the life that you've got. So there's no amount of being negative or self-pity that's going to make your limb come back. There's, that's the life that you've got. So instead of focusing on all the problems of being an amputee, let's focus on getting over them problems and finding solutions for them rather than focusing on all the bad stuff.
Listen, I never thought ever in my lifetime that I would be jealous of someone who is walking.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would look at someone, see them walking, and think, oh, man, they got it good.
Yep.
I mean, what are we
It's
talking
just,
about here? I mean, it's
just
like,
stuff that it's just stuff that you normally take for granted. You know,
totally.
I said today, if you get up every morning, if you get up every morning, put your shoes on and walk out of the door, then you're lucky. And we all used to do that. But again, you know, don't get me wrong. If someone came up to me now and said, "Listen, Ben, you can have your leg back," I'd say keep it. I love being an amputee. I love everything about being an amputee, even with all the aches, the pains, my blocked femoral artery, and everything else.
Yeah.
I love this life.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Well, I think you're living in a place of acceptance. You're living in a place of you have completely embraced who you are and your set of circumstances. I think that's a very evolved thing to do. It shows that you have the ability to see the good in your situation,
Yeah.
and you've taken it to a whole nother level. I mean, let's talk about AMP Camp. I mean, AMP Camp and AMP Camp Kids is something that's, you know, very groundbreaking, pretty revolutionary. And I think that in terms of the amputee community and where we are going as a community, it's vital to the growth and the healthy normalization of what it's like to be an amputee, because we can only be strong when we are a community focus. And then once we recharge our batteries and we get reset, now we're ready to go out in the world, okay, and show the world how powerful people we are. And these camps are a chance to get all of that fuel, all of that energy, all of that confidence. So you've mentioned AMP Camp a bit in the interview thus far, but I want to dig a little deeper. How did that come about? You know, how was all of that founded, so to speak, and what was your role in all of that?
So, like I said, we've spoken, and I've told you about my start in this journey and how hard I found it. I found that when I was progressing, the only thing that I could find to go to were like these coffee mornings where everyone amputees would meet up, they go for a coffee, they talk about how bad everything is and blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't for me. Now, I got talking to a friend that lived in Tenerife. They ran like retreats for able-bodied people, so like wellness retreats and stuff like that. And they wanted someone to promote their business. So I kind of messaged them and said, look, I want to do something for amputees. And that just came from that idea, one phone call, and then and from there it just spiraled. I see a benefit in being around amputees, being around other amputees. You can talk to a therapist, you can talk to your prosthesis, you can talk to whoever you want. They've got two limbs and they're never going to understand what it is you're going on about. And I think once, and it's been proven with what we've had and the reviews we've had and the success we've had on these camps. You know, we've had, like I say, I've had Richard Whitehead, Paralympian, to someone that's lost the legs 3 months ago. And there's a wide range. And there's something special as well about putting, you've just lost your leg three months ago, but you're surrounded by people that are maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You can see where it's going. You can see that you can improve. They all get support from each other. They all, if for instance one day your legs are in and you can't put it on, you're not going to get looked at. No one's looking at you like because you haven't got your leg on. No one's saying to you, well, you should be able to get it on, because we all know these days when you can't put your leg on. So there's no feeling bad on the camps if you can't do anything. I've got PTs that come into the camps. We've got nutritionists. I've got an in-house therapist she's 30 years in the NHS. She does hypnotherapy and everything else for the ones that are struggling that way. And yeah, you know, we started off in 2020. I had 3 camps in 2020. This year I've done 11, 12, and I've still got a couple more to do before the end of the year.
What's the best way for people to engage this concept? How do they find you? Where do they go? Aside from your regular social media channels, how would someone want to get involved with
So
that?
basically, you can do that. Obviously, my social media is massive for me. I'm at my Amp Camp Tenerife. It's on Instagram and Facebook. Everything that we do on there, we post videos from every camp. So we've got the reviews on there, what it's done for people. We've got a website. You know, I'll be getting this camp done next year. Next week, I've got 16 Norwegians coming over. I went to do like a conference in Norway about 4 months ago, and from that we've had a massive success in Norway. And
So it's
they've
not
actually
hard to
put
find.
no.
This isn't hard to find. Okay,
No,
that's good news. And I agree with your sentiment about, going to the coffee house or, going to a small, support group. I spent about 6 weeks in a rehab facility after my amputation, and they recommended I come to a support group that
okay,
that the rehab center was holding once a month. Okay.
right.
And I got to be honest, this was not a support group. This was a group that met once a month and sat around and complained about
Yeah,
everything.
yes.
They complained about their pain. They complained about their doctor. They complained about their insurance. They complained about their prosthesis. They complained. I mean, you could check every box, Ben. It was just, I never felt like I was in more of a negative space than when I was going to this so-called support group.
Support group. Yeah,
I'm
the
like,
thing is,
how am I being supported? Like,
you're not. You're not. You're doing. You're listening to everyone else. It's like you said, and like I said to you, that brings automatically. That brings you kind of down when you're around people that are like with the camps. For instance, this camp we've just had. I've had a girl that lost a leg in March, and another guy that his leg weren't fitting. And I said, "Come on, let's go walk a mountain." Well, we can't do that. You can do it with the right people telling you can do it.
yep.
And they got up there and they got back down, and that comes from me being behind them, going, "Come on, come on, come on!" Instead of, "Oh, your legs hurt. Of course, your legs hurt, and it's meant to work. It makes you work in it, you know."
Mm-hmm.
But they got up there and they got down. But that's it. Yeah, like you say, if you're gonna surround yourself with negative people, then you're gonna live a negative life, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And, going back to the social media piece, you know, again, I find it absolutely bizarre that you've been actually removed from Facebook groups because you're too positive, because
Yeah,
your messaging is too positive. And, nobody has to follow anyone that they don't want to follow. No one is forced to read a post from Ben Lovell.
this is a crazy thing, right, about social media.
Turn the channel.
They don't understand that. So I put a post up the other day, something on the lines of, "Don't complain about your life, about how bad it is, unless you're willing to do something and change your life." So I put this post up, and then I started getting loads of comments. What right have you got to say that? You don't know it, blah blah blah. And can you change the words into it? No, I can't. It's toxic positivity. It's all this, and it's like all.
Did you
And then
just say toxic positivity?
toxic. That's what I get. Yeah, so I'm a toxic positive person. Yeah, that's a nice phrase that people tend to use
Ouch.
with me. It's fucking. Sorry, I swore. Then it's crazy. I swore.
Ben, you've been canceled. You've been canceled,
Yeah,
Ben.
I can't understand it, you know. And it's like, and you know the thing that I tried to say in these groups when the admins message me, it's like, listen, them people, I'm not forcing anything to them. There's a block button. There's a block button underneath. If they block me, they'll never see it.
Right.
All you're doing by removing me out of that group is taking away from some of the people that do get and understand what I'm trying to say. You're just taking that away from them.
Yeah.
The people that don't like what I've got to say, then block me or just unfollow me. You don't need to read. I'm not forcing it upon you.
No, no, no.
But
I unfollow lots of people. I mean, if
I do
someone
it regularly, mate. I do it regularly,
if
believe it or
someone is
not.
not offering me content that I find worthwhile, why do I need it in my feed?
This
Um,
is what I can't. This is what I can't understand as well. Everyone has a choice about what they see on the Facebook
Absolutely.
page. Everyone has a choice what they see on Instagram. You'll follow these people that are doing your heading,
Absolutely.
or causing you to feel negative. Now, take the other, just block them. Everyone that comes up on my feed is someone that I think, wow, look at what they're doing, or that's amazing, or this, feed yourself the positive stuff and stay away from the negative stuff, man. If you don't
Totally.
like what I'm doing, if you don't like what I do or what I'm about or what I say, don't follow me. I'm not, it's no problem in my eyes.
I think social media plays a critical role in our community specifically because so many amputees are homebound.
Yeah,
So many amputees are not out in the world like yourself, myself, other people that are somewhat high functioning, working, playing, doing all the things that they love to do. And sometimes that is their only sort of portal to get to others that are in this space. And I think it very much plays a critical role in our development in terms of the narrative that we are building out there. Because let's
yeah,
face it, for a long time, up until recently, let's say over the last 10 or 15 years, being an amputee was viewed very differently than it is viewed now.
yeah.
When I
I think
was
you've got the Olympic Games, you've got the Invictus Games. It's
I
and
mean,
it's people
there's
like
major advertisers. I mean, I posted a Victoria's Secret ad the other day
right.
on my wall of a beautiful woman who's an amputee. I mean, this is a Victoria's Secret ad. You know, very very.
Can you remember what she was called?
I don't remember her name specifically.
Because
Um,
there's one that lives in, I think she's from Brazil or somewhere that way. Paolo, can't remember what she's called, but she's very. I mean,
I'm telling you that the narrative is changing now. You
every
know,
company, more and more companies are wanting to be seen now to be using amputees, and it's a good thing. It's only good. It's good for everybody.
yeah,
You've no reason. I talk to people that have been an amputee for 10 years, women and stuff like that. They won't put a skirt on. They won't even wear shorts in the back garden and stuff like. It's mind-boggling. It is what it is, man. I've not worn a pair of pants in 5 years. I wear shorts.
I'm
I wear
jealous.
shorts, and if I do wear jeans, I've cut one of the legs off, so you can see that I've got that
I,
leg.
I'm in Chicago, brother. I have no choice. I have to wear pants sometimes. we're
No,
we're
but even in winter when I lived in the UK,
really.
and it's 2 foot of snow, I'd still be walking about with my shorts on.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You're like, hey, I'm gonna push back against
I'm
this
just,
whole
yeah,
pants thing.
you know what? Like I said to you, Rick, I'm proud of being an amputee. I'm proud of what I've been through.
Yeah, sporting your hardware has become, quite fashionable.
Yep.
And there's luxury brands now that are using amputee models. There's a lot of flash out there. You're definitely one of those people that I look towards in terms of inspiration, the kind of images that conjure up, an inspiring tone and make people feel like, hey, being an amputee, it's kind of badass, you know?
It's very badass, man. It's very cool because to me when I look at amputees, I don't just see the prosthetic leg. It's like I understand that they've been on a journey and they go on a journey every day. Every day they choose to get up, put a leg on to go out of the house. They're not just getting up and putting the shoes on anymore. And it takes a strong person to live this life. I want to show everyone. I want to show people how good I want. I want to be a badass. I want to get up and everyone will be looking at me thinking, wow, he does it. He just does it anyway, regardless.
Yep.
I think I look at every amputee that gets up, regardless of whether you're walking 10 metres down road or you're climbing mountains, the fact that you're getting up and putting your leg on and going out to work or going out to walk your dog or going out to do this and just trying to live the life that you had before, you deserve a pat on the back and you deserve it and you deserve everything that comes. You can
No,
push yourself.
those are great words. I mean, and amputees need to hear that. We all operate at a different fitness level. Being the best that we can be,
And yeah, being your best. You don't need to like compare yourself to anyone else. You'll know your own limits now. If you'll know yourself, like I've said to you, your limits might be one day you walk 10 meters, the next day you want to try and walk 12, the day after that try and walk 14. They're your limits. My limits are seeing which mountain I can get up. But like
Yeah.
I said, not everyone's the same.
Reaching your full capacity, I think is something that I personally, you know, sort of embrace in my own life. If there's something that I want to do, I want to do it well.
Yep, 100%. Or if someone tells you can't do something, you want to prove them wrong as well. I love that when people say that you
Oh
can't do
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Very often, I am told the same thing, which is maybe not a good idea.
No.
And, you know, doing things that are highly active, that really push my residual limb, and, getting to know my body along the way, and knowing my limits. And, I've seen your posts where you've had skin breakdown and you're like, hey, I'm taking a break. You know,
Yep.
I got to get out of my prosthesis for a few days. And, I'm very much like yourself, because I'm sort of in that position, I think, like you are, where you don't want to let people down.
No.
People are counting on you. People look to you in that somewhat of that leadership role, right?
Yeah.
Because with your camps and a lot of the communities that you've built, you're somewhat of a Pied Piper. I mean, people sort of follow you, and they see your energy, they see your smile. Your smile's infectious, and people say, "Yeah, I want to be part of this club, like this thing that's happening here. I want to be part of this energy." And that's really your gift to humanity. It's not about money, it's not about status, it's not about fame. It's about how am I serving the people around me? I have this.
People that as well. People that have been people that are going through what I went through. That it's if I can help anyone, I'll help them. But I want to help amputees. I want them. We do a lot of stuff, not just with amputees. Like back in the UK, we started climbing mountains, and I invited amputees to come along, but I also invited able-bodied. But my passion. I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm passionate about helping people. Like I've said to you before, money doesn't. When you get them messages saying thank you, you've helped someone. Money doesn't buy that.
I know.
Getting them reviews and seeing them people come to my camps and then leave the camps, completely different people, and going back to the families. Being able to go to the park now with the kids. That's what the camp's about. That's what my life's about, and it's interesting, like you said earlier, about leaving a legacy. I've said that for quite a few months now. That is something that I want to build. I do want to change what goes on in this amputee community, and if I can do that, then I'll have lived a good life, man.
Well, those are amazing words, and you and I today, I believe, have only scratched the surface of what you've done and what the future holds for you. I know it's going to take some time before I can get you back in the hot seat again for an interview. But I want to thank you for being here. You're
No
truly,
problem.
truly an inspiration to myself. You are an inspiration to all of your followers and everyone that shares in your light and your energy. And Ben Lovell, I so appreciate you being here. What would be something you would want to say to everyone that is currently following you, a special message for the people that aren't asking you to stop being so positive all the time? What would you want to say?
Just basically, you've just said it. Stay positive, man. It just improves your life. If you're positive, and then you're not just me, but even the people that watch me or the people that follow me. There'll be people watching you in your life that'll appreciate you being positive. And if like you say, it's infectious. The more positive. Just live a positive life, man. The cards that you've been dealt, you've got them. Get on with it. Get
Yep.
on with it.
Simply said, but also beautifully said. Mr. Ben Lovell, thank you for being here. That's going to wrap it up for us. My name is Rick Bonkowski, and this is the Amped Up to 11 podcast. I want to wish everyone in the audience health and happiness. Take care now.